Hi, hello, and if you're new to the channel, welcome, and if you've been here before, welcome back. Now, if you shoot a lot of video or you run a YouTube channel, you're going to be very familiar with this problem, and that is these external hard drives. I fill these up at an alarming rate because when I shoot video, when I'm out cruising, I dump it down onto these before I edit it. Then when I've edited material, I dump it backwards and forwards between my iPad and these. And so these fill up quite quickly, and they're not cheap. So I'm always trying to work out how I can thin out my video collection. So I dump videos that I haven't used. I will sort of go through my footage and discard anything that's no longer relevant. But even so, I still get through a lot of hard drives and use up a lot of space on my iPhone. So the other day I was carrying out this process and I came across a group of videos that I shot at the Braunston Historical Boat Festival. I think that's its name, or Braunston Traditional Boat Festival. Sorry, I can't quite remember. Anyway, I was looking at those and I thought, I didn't use these. So instead of sort of throwing them out, I thought I would share them with you today because there's some beautiful boats in this. And the thing that blew me away was the control these guys had on these boats. They were able to turn them around in spaces where I just didn't think it was possible. Absolutely amazing, beautiful control. Anyway, enjoy these videos. Now, when I arrived at what I now know is called the Braunston Historic Boat Rally, I was amazed at the size and the types of boats on show. The first thing I saw was this massive boat being manoeuvred with great ease into the marina. And this was immediately followed by another large traditional historic boat. It was great to see these boats out and about, and what blew me away was how easily these people seem to manoeuvre the boats. If you've watched any of my videos, you know that I really do struggle with my steering. And yet these guys were just throwing these boats around with the greatest of ease. I was shocked that they were taking them into the marina, a very crowded marina, and were navigating through. And if you watch to the end of the video, you will see them coming out at the end of the marina, because at this point I thought they were going into the marina and then mooring up for the show. How wrong I was. And then another one turned up and did pretty much the same manoeuvre. Incredible skill. Just watch how this boat manoeuvres around this corner and underneath the bridge into the marina. There you can see it really pivoting. The guy driving this boat really knows his boat. And clearly it's not the first time they've done this. With all the people watching from the bridge and along the towpath, the pressure must be really on. And there it goes, into the marina. Make it look like child's play. I then took a walk along the towpath. And there are a lot of different boats on display of all different shapes and sizes, but all historic. What I particularly enjoyed was the attention to detail. It was great seeing these boats moored up 3 abreast, looking at their finest. Stunning paintwork and signwriting, quite envious. Walking along the towpath, it made me wonder what this must have been like in its heyday, when these canals were really fully in use for transporting cargo around the country. All the boats had large cargo areas, and what constantly surprised me was just how small the boatsman's cabin was at the end. This one's clearly still in use for transporting what I think is coal. Imagine living in that small boatsman's cabin there. Got an engine room in there, and then just a small amount of room to live in with possibly your wife and family. Stunning boats. Another great historic boat. I did wonder where these boats spend the rest of the year, because I don't see many of them around on the canals. But they all make it down to the Braunston Historic Boat Rally. Another small boatsman's cabin. That one seems quite low. And another great example of a narrowboat, this time with the canvases down. A lot of the boats have information boards on them, and it was great to sort of read about their history. Again, fantastic old inboard engine, very small boatsman's cabin. Where do these boats spend the rest of the year? I like this one. It's a sort of floating garden centre. You could buy plants from it. I had seen this earlier in the year up near Braunston. It was up near the locks. And again, another fine example of an historic narrowboat. Now this is what really blew me away. These were the boats coming out of the marina. So we saw them going in earlier underneath the bridge, and then they came out here. And to me, this seemed to be an impossible manoeuvre. This boat, for example, seems to be longer than the space available to turn it around in. And yet the guy driving it managed to get it around. I think it slightly clipped the bank on the far side. And looking at the far side, you can see that a number of boats had impacted the bank. But here, this guy just seems to spin this boat around. Incredible. Very envious of their driving skills. You can see there, it's got the momentum of the front still swinging around, and he's put the boat into reverse to sort of pull it back, and using that momentum and the pivot point in the centre of the boat. A real boat driving lesson. Remarkable. And a quick walk back along the towpath. This time I held the camera up a bit higher so you could sort of see the boats on the far side, because they were moored 3 abreast, so you didn't always get to see the boats that were slightly further out. Glorious day, bit windy. And a surprising number of people at the Braunston Historic Boat Rally. As I say, fantastic boats. They must spend a lot of time keeping these boats up to scratch, keeping the paintwork looking so wonderful, and keeping the boats traditionally dressed. Yep, some amazing boats.
That's how fun it's actually market.
Violent.
Violent.
It really was amazing to see all these boats moored up.
Yes. I won't continue going.
Their stunning boatsman's cabbing and paintwork make my boat, the Grey Wagtail, look quite shabby. Here we've got that boat again. I think it's shifting coal. Wonder what's in the barrels at the front. Look at that, amazing colours. Love all the canal art. I saw a few of these boats at the Crick Boat Show, or similar boats at the Crick Boat Show a couple of years ago, but this is the biggest gathering of these historic narrowboats that I've seen.
Defender to fender.
Yeah.
Because they're going to break down.
Fantastic. I'd love to have been able to have a nose around on board some of them, because I bet they're fantastic inside. So back to the bridge where I saw the boats going under earlier. Now in the Braunston Marina there are a few more boats moored up, and again it was great to walk around and have a look at them. Beautiful paintwork, amazing condition. Another one with large blue barrels in it. I wonder what they've got in them. There were also a few stalls around selling artwork and boaty type things that I had a look around. Some very nice pictures and paintings. And for 1 minute I actually thought I'd found a manual for my Beta Marine JD3 engine that I have on my boat, but it turned out to be the earlier version of the JD3. I can't remember what it was called now, so it was really of no use. Okay, so that was some video that I shot at the Braunston Traditional Boat Festival, or Historical Boat Festival, last summer, summer 2025. I hope you found it interesting. Now, if you did find it interesting, please don't forget to give it a big like and a big thumbs up. And if you haven't done so already, please consider subscribing to the channel. On the screen now you will see a QR code, and if you scan that QR code it will take you through to a free newsletter about the Grey Wagtail, my narrowboat. There's also a link in the description through to the newsletter. Anyway, thanks for watching for this long. Bye for now.